Our Coinmaster USA viewers, get ready, because if you thought our first coin was in...
Hi. Because if you thought our... Now, Coinmaster USA viewers, get ready. Because if you thought our first coin was interesting, the second coin in today's treasure hunt could make you look at every old dime in your collection completely differently. Imagine opening an old box. Inside are decades of American coins, pennies, nickels, quarters, and then you find a dime. You pick it up. You look at the date. You turn it over, and you notice something. There is no mint mark. At first, you might think nothing of it. After all, millions of Americans have handled 1,965 Roosevelt dimes over the years. But then you remember something. 1,965 was a very important year in the history of American coinage. And suddenly, that ordinary-looking dime doesn't seem quite so ordinary anymore. Because this is the moment when the question begins. Could this be rare? Could it be a special variety? Could it contain an unusual minting characteristic? Could its condition make it stand out? And most importantly, could a truly exceptional example be worth an extraordinary amount of money? Today's video premise places a potential value of up to $110,000 on an exceptionally rare example. Now let me make something very clear before we go any further. A normal 1,965 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark is not automatically worth $110,000. In fact, most 1,965 Roosevelt dimes are common and have modest values. So if you have one, don't assume you've discovered a six-figure fortune. But here's where coin collecting becomes fascinating. The value of a coin isn't always about the date alone. It's about the story. It's about the condition. It's about the strike. It's about the metal. It's about the minting process. It's about errors and varieties. And sometimes, it's about one tiny detail that separates an ordinary coin from an extraordinary discovery. And today, we're going to explore exactly why the 1,965 Roosevelt dime deserves your attention. So stay with me, because by the end of this segment, you'll understand what to look for, what not to do, and why serious collectors never rush to conclusions. Let's begin. To understand why the 1,965 Roosevelt dime is so interesting, we need to travel back in time. The United States was going through a major change in its coinage. During the 1960s, the price of silver was rising. The government faced challenges involving the supply and demand of silver used in circulating coins. And this led to one of the most significant transitions in modern American coin history. The traditional silver composition used in U.S. dimes and quarters was being replaced. Beginning in 1965, the Roosevelt dime moved to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means 1,965 sits right at a fascinating turning point. It represents the beginning of a new era. And whenever collectors encounter a major transition year, they pay attention. Because history can create opportunities for unusual discoveries. The 1,965 Roosevelt dime is therefore interesting not simply because of its date. It's interesting because of what the date represents. A major change in American coin production. A change in composition. a change in the appearance and characteristics of circulating coinage, and a moment in history that collectors can literally hold in their hands. Now let's talk about the feature that catches the attention of many collectors: the missing mint mark. Our coin today is described as a 1965 Roosevelt Dime with no mint mark. But here's the critical point. For 1965 Roosevelt Dimes, the absence of a mint mark is generally normal. That's right. A 1965 dime without a mint mark is not automatically a rare error. This is one of the most important things every new collector needs to understand. Sometimes a detail that looks unusual is actually completely normal. And that is why experienced collectors do their homework. They don't see something unusual and immediately declare it rare. They ask, was this normal for the year? Was this normal for the mint? Was the coin supposed to have a mint mark? Was the mint mark intentionally omitted? Was there a special production circumstance? Or is there something else about the coin that makes it genuinely unusual? This is why coin collecting requires knowledge. And the more you learn, the better you become at separating real opportunities from exaggerated claims. Even though no mint mark is normal for a 1965 Roosevelt dime, there are other characteristics that can potentially make a coin much more interesting. And this is where your eyes need to become your best tools. Look closely at the coin. Not quickly. Not casually. Carefully. Examine the date. Look at the lettering. Study the portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Look at the rim. Inspect the edge. Examine the surfaces. Does the coin appear to have unusual doubling? Is there evidence of a genuine minting error? Does the coin have an unusual strike? Is the metal composition consistent with what should be expected? Does the coin have an appearance that suggests it may be something different from a normal 1965 dime? These are the questions that can lead to a deeper investigation. Because sometimes, the most exciting discovery isn't obvious at first glance. Sometimes you need magnification. Sometimes you need reference books. Sometimes you need comparison photographs. And sometimes you need the opinion of an expert. That's what separates serious coin hunting from simply looking at old money. Now let's discuss another feature mentioned in today's coin description. Spots. The coin is described as having spots while remaining in fine condition. But here's something every collector should remember. Spots do not automatically increase a coin's value. In many cases, unwanted staining, corrosion, environmental damage, or improper cleaning can actually hurt a coin's desirability. So why are we mentioning them? Because the condition of the surface matters. A coin can have signs of age without necessarily being rare. A coin can look dirty without being valuable. And a coin can have attractive natural toning that collectors appreciate. The key is understanding the difference. This is why you should never clean a potentially valuable coin yourself. Don't use toothpaste. Don't use metal polish. Don't use harsh chemicals. Don't scrub it. Don't scratch it. Don't try to make it look new. If the coin turns out to be valuable, cleaning it could permanently damage the surface. Instead, preserve it exactly as you found it. Place it somewhere safe. Handle it carefully. And if you believe it could be valuable, have it professionally evaluated. Now let's talk about the number that makes this coin so exciting. $110,000. Imagine finding a dime and discovering that a truly exceptional example could potentially command a six-figure price. That would be life-changing. But let's slow down. A $110,000 valuation should never be applied automatically to every 1,965 Roosevelt dime. Most 1,965 Roosevelt dimes are not worth anything close to that amount. So where could such a high valuation come from? The answer would have to involve something extraordinary. A significant minting error. An exceptionally rare variety. A wrong planchet error. An unusual composition. An extraordinary condition. Or another highly unusual characteristic recognized by the numismatic community. And even then, the coin would need to be authenticated. Because when you're talking about six figures, confidence is everything. A serious collector wants to know, is the coin genuine? Is the error genuine? Is the variety recognized? Has the coin been professionally graded? Are there comparable sales? Is there actual demand? These questions matter. A coin can be advertised online for $110,000. That doesn't mean someone will actually pay $110,000 for it. There's a huge difference between an asking price and a verified sale price. So always remember, a claimed value is not the same as a confirmed market value. Now let's create a scenario. You have an old jar of coins. Maybe it belonged to your grandparents. Maybe it was sitting in a closet. Maybe you found it while cleaning your home. Inside are hundreds of coins. You begin sorting, one by one. Penny, nickel, quarter, dime. Then you see it. You pick it up. You notice there is no mint mark. You think, wait a minute. You remember hearing about rare coins. You start wondering if this could be valuable. And this is where you need to stay calm. Don't immediately jump to the conclusion that you've found a $110,000 coin. Instead, begin your investigation. Check the date. Check the composition. Check the edge. Check the weight. Compare it with a normal 1,965 Roosevelt dime. Look for anything unusual. If the coin appears to have an unusual composition or a genuine mint error, that's when you should take the next step. Get it professionally examined. Because a rare coin can hide in plain sight. But you need evidence before you can call it rare. Here's a simple way to think about coin collecting. Imagine a stadium filled with people. Everyone is wearing a white shirt. But one person is wearing a red shirt. Immediately, you notice them. Why? Because they're different. The same principle applies to coins. Millions of ordinary coins exist. But if one coin has a feature that shouldn't be there, collectors notice. That feature might be a rare error. It might be a unique production mistake. It might be a special variety. Or it might be an unusual combination of characteristics. That is why valuable coins can be so exciting. They're the exceptions. They're the coins that stand out. And sometimes, those exceptions are hiding among ordinary coins. If you're searching for a potentially valuable 1,965 Roosevelt dime, here's what I want you to do. First, examine the date. Make sure you're actually looking at a 1,965 dime. Second, inspect the mint mark area. Remember, no mint mark is generally normal for this issue, so don't treat that detail alone as proof of rarity. Third, examine the coin's overall appearance. Look for unusual characteristics. Fourth, examine the edge. The edge can sometimes provide clues about a coin's composition. Fifth, compare the coin's weight and dimensions with reliable specifications. A major difference can be a reason for further investigation. Sixth, look for genuine mint errors. But be careful. Damage that happens after a coin leaves the mint is not the same as a minting error. A scratch isn't automatically an error. A dent isn't automatically an error. A stain isn't automatically an error. A strange-looking surface isn't automatically an error. The key is determining when and how the unusual feature occurred. Was it created during the minting process? Or did it happen later? That's the million-dollar question. Well, maybe not literally $1 million, but you get the idea. Now, I want to warn you about something. If you find a coin that appears valuable, don't rush to sell it. Don't take it to the first person who says, "I'll give you $20 for it." And don't assume that the first online price you see is accurate. Instead, research. Get multiple opinions. Consider professional authentication. And if the coin is potentially worth thousands of dollars, professional grading can become extremely important. Third-party certification can help establish authenticity and condition. It can also make it easier for serious buyers to evaluate the coin. And remember, the higher the potential value, the more important proper authentication becomes. If someone claims your dime is worth $110,000, ask them, why? What makes it rare? Where is the evidence? Has a similar coin actually sold? Is there an auction record? Has it been certified? These are the questions that protect collectors from misinformation. Now let's talk about condition. Our example is described as being in fine condition. In coin collecting, condition can have a major impact on value. Two coins from the same year can look dramatically different. One may have heavy wear. Another may have sharp details. One may have scratches. Another may have clean surfaces. One may have damage. Another may have been preserved for decades. The difference can be enormous. But remember something important. Condition alone usually doesn't turn a common coin into a $110,000 coin. Rarity comes first. If millions of identical examples exist, a circulated coin usually won't suddenly become a six-figure treasure simply because it looks old. However, when a coin is already genuinely rare, condition can become extremely important. That's why collectors pay close attention to grading. And that's why two seemingly similar coins can have dramatically different values. Think about what this coin represents. America was changing. The country was experiencing major economic and social changes. The nation's coinage was changing too. And this little Roosevelt dime became part of that transition. Every time you hold a 1,965 dime, you're holding a tiny piece of American history. Maybe it traveled across the country. Maybe it was spent in a small town. Maybe it sat in someone's pocket during a historic moment. Maybe it was saved by a collector. And now, decades later, it could be sitting in your collection. That's what makes coin collecting so powerful. You aren't just collecting metal. You're collecting history. You're collecting stories. And sometimes you're collecting rarity. Here's something many people don't realize. The most valuable coin in your collection may not be the oldest one. It may not be the shiniest one. It may not even look impressive. Sometimes the most valuable coin is the one with the smallest difference. One unusual feature, one rare error, one unique combination, one detail that millions of other coins don't have. That's why collectors use magnification. That's why they study reference books. That's why they attend coin shows. That's why they compare examples. Because valuable coins often reward attention, not luck alone. Attention, knowledge, patience, and research. So let's return to our 1965 Roosevelt Dime. No mint mark. Spots. Fine condition. Potential value scenario. $110,000. Is every 1965 Roosevelt Dime worth $110,000? Absolutely not. But could an exceptionally rare example with the right characteristics be dramatically more valuable than a normal coin? That's the question that keeps collectors searching. And that's why you should never stop learning. If you have a 1965 Roosevelt Dime, examine it. Don't assume. Don't exaggerate. Don't clean it. Investigate it. Because the goal isn't to convince yourself that every old coin is worth a fortune. The goal is to discover the truth. And sometimes, the truth can be incredibly exciting. Before we move to our next coin, remember these important steps. Check the year. Check the mint mark. Check the composition. Check the edge. Check the weight. Check for genuine mint errors. Check the condition. Compare your coin with trusted references. And if you believe you have something extraordinary, seek professional authentication. Most importantly, don't clean the coin. Don't damage the surface. Don't rush to sell. And don't believe every value claim you see online. A true rare coin can be valuable, but proving that rarity is what matters. Now imagine this. You have a 1965 Roosevelt Dime sitting somewhere in your house. Maybe it's in a drawer. Maybe it's in a jar. Maybe it's inside an old collection. Maybe you've looked at it 100 times. But you've never really examined it. You've never weighed it. You've never checked the edge. You've never compared it with another example. You've never looked closely at the details. What if you've been looking at it the wrong way? Maybe it's just a normal dime. That's possible. But what if there's something unusual? What if it deserves further investigation? That's the mystery. And that's why I want every Coin Master USA viewer to start looking at their coins differently. Don't look at a dime and see 10 cents. Look at it and ask, what story does this coin have? What happened to this coin? Why does it look different? Could there be something here that I haven't noticed? Those questions are where every great coin hunt begins. Transition to Coin 3. And now, Coin Master USA viewers. We've already explored two fascinating coins. Our first coin was a 1979 Roosevelt Dime with no mint mark, presented with a potential value scenario of $10,000 for an exceptionally rare example. Our second coin was the 1965 Roosevelt Dime, a fascinating date because it represents a major transition in U.S. coinage history, with today's video premise highlighting a potential value scenario of $110,000 for an exceptionally rare and authenticated example. But we're not finished. Not even close. Because there's still one more coin. And if you think the first two coins were exciting, wait until you see what we have coming next. The final coin could be the one that makes you run to your coin jar. The one that makes you check your grandparents' old collection. The one that makes you look twice at the change in your pocket. Because sometimes the most valuable discovery isn't hiding in a museum. It's hiding in plain sight, inside an old box, inside a forgotten collection, or even inside your pocket. So make sure you stay with Coin Master USA. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and get ready for coin number 3. Because the treasure hunt isn't over yet. And somewhere in America right now, someone may be holding a rare coin without even knowing it. Keep searching, keep learning, and remember, never spend a rare coin before you know what you have.